On the day 71, I went out to collect the missing artifacts. I arrived at the cave of the artifact of the Skylord shortly after my departure from my base. I placed my dino gates to block the road and then started placing DC-4s on top of the enemy tech structures. I blew up the first wall, but there was another, and then a couple of direwolves jumped in. I shot them out of this world quite quickly, and then I went back to placing C4 charges. Then my way was open. In the cave, there were a couple of turrets blocking my entrance. It was not possible to uncryo Stegos here, so my only chance, either trying carbos or just blowing the turrets with a rocket without getting killed myself. I tried the rockets first and it worked. Then I blew up the structures and moved on further inside the cave. I carefully killed any mob that got in my way. And then I got the artifact of the Skylord. Then I got out and flew away. I landed my Quetzal at the entrance of the ice cave, which holds the artifact of the Strong. I placed my dino gateways and then went inside. I blew up the first layer of the NPC walls, and then I saw the turrets. Unfortunately, Stegos could not be uncryoed here, and I had no angle to rocket the turret, so I had to use my carbos. So I went back to my base, crafted bunch of ascended carbo saddles, grabbed few of my fully raised and leveled carbos, and then I went back to the ice cave. I threw out 2 carbos and a Yuri and started soaking the NPC turrets. My carbo was taking 7 and 8 damage, but it only had 18,000 HP and the turrets were slot capped. So it took me few carbos and cycling them between and healing them with a dead on to be ready to fire some rockets. And then it went through. Few more rockets and then it was over. Complete silence. I cryoed my dinos and went near the wall. I took it down so I could use my Terizino for the battle to come. Ice cave wild dinos could be a serious threat. The same bug happened though, and the ice cave had barely any creatures. It wasn't completely empty, but it was posing no threat. I think it is because I had structures inside the cave, and single player servers cannot handle that properly. Then I reached the end of this cave and got myself the artifact of the Strong. Then I went to the Carnivore Island. I killed the immediate wildlife at the entrance of the cave, blew up the entrance wall, and then set up my perimeter defenses by using dino gateways. Then I went back inside and blew up the second NPC wall that was blocking my way. I uncryoed a pair of Stegos and then a Yuri to buff them. I gave them bunch of sweet vegetable cakes and then they started soaking the NPC turrets. On top of the cakes I also used a Daedon, so that made sure the Stegos health was always high up. Next day I decided that it had soaked enough of the tech turrets for me to try to rocket the wall. So I hopped on to the stego and fired few rockets. And it was done. I successfully managed to destroy every single turret that still had bullets. I cryoed my dinos, opened up the tech generator room, looted thousands of elements in there, and then blew up the remainings of the turret wall. Then I went underwater to come out of the other side, but there were lots of bats underwater and I got scared a little bit. I had no way to fight them underwater. They did not attack me, but I almost drowned. So I went up to see so many more bats. Then I jumped out of the water and threw out my Terizino. But the Terizino was a mistake because a Megatherium is always better for caves with bugs, because of the bug killer buff that works on other creatures as well. While I was fighting all these mobs, they pushed me away and I fell, presumably to my untimely doom. Mega Rabies was also draining my health, but Medbrews were ready to save my fragile and ill body. I tried to prevent the fall damage the second time, but I was too old and too slow. My Terizino took a lot of damage, but the good thing I had cakes in my pocket, so I fed that to my Terizino. It took her a while, but she was brave and fearless. And then I got the artifact of the Devourer. We almost got devoured for this, let's be honest. And then going back out of this cave was uneventful. There were still angry wild cave life, but it was easy to handle them. Then we were back at the Green Obelisk, not for a boss fight, but to craft the tech structures. I crafted a tech replicator. And then I placed it and did some crafting. Then I went back to farming hide by killing wild dinos. After a while, something terrible happened. I got knocked out by a true down. I had a really good flag, so they were doing 0 damage, but eventually my flag was going to break, but something extraordinary happened. They actually went away. I couldn't believe it. It felt like I was miraculously saved. I gathered my strength and went back to farming hide, but I found an alpha T-Rex, so I had to try to kill it. After 5 minutes of shooting it from afar and awaiting more true dawns, the Alpha T-Rex fell to the ground, and my chibi was max level at this point, but it gave me 8,000 hide. That is pretty high for a Rex, so worth the trouble. Anyway, I finished the day with 70,000 hide. Then I crafted 12 carbo saddles, each asking for 3,000 hide. That took more than half of my hide stack. Then I crafted 3 stego saddles and then only 1 megalodon saddle. and that used all of my hide. Then I fixed my stegos and then my carbos. So after that I had a bunch of carbos ready to soak underwater bullets, but I had no hide left for the Megalodon saddles. So once again I went out. $77,000 hide, and I used all of them to craft Ascendant Megalodon saddles. Then I fixed all of my Megalodons, but then they needed to heal. My time was running out, so I had to speed up the healing process. So I brought a Daedon to heal them. I kind of mixed up the carbos, so I had to uncryo them to check their saddles. So I did that and also healed some of the new ones.